This is Scott Becker with the Becker's Private Equity and Business Podcast and the Becker Business Minute. So bear with me today because this is a podcast that is a broad base of concepts that really comes out of watching President Trump as he starts to come into office. And bear with you for a second. So, and again, we try and be as apolitical as possible. We're by no means an anti-Trumper. If anything, we're certainly more of a fan of his than we are of Kamala Harris's. So it is what it is. But the podcast theme today is don't overplay your hand and don't pick fights you don't have to have. And one of the great people I worked with for a very long time was a guy named Bob Pristave. And Bob was brilliant at not picking fights he didn't have to have, not even conflicts that you didn't need to have. And again, we're not an anti-fan of President Trump, but when I watch him start to take office and he says, we're thinking about changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, it doesn't sound as warm. It is what it is. That's just the least of it. But saying that we should annex Canada, Greenland, some other countries, this is the kind of stuff that it reminds me of overplaying one's hand and picking fights we don't need to have. Now, he may not be serious about trying to annex Greenland. Most of us can't even find where Greenland is on the map versus Iceland or something like that. He certainly can't be serious about annexing Canada. And I think there was one other place he talked about annexing. But when you start with that kind of verbiage, you are going to create some hardliners in those countries that believe that you are serious. And we don't need to create enemies we don't need to have. The world as a whole is too fractured a place. This is very similar in business. There's no reason to pick fights in business you don't need to pick. And also, at any one time, any one of us is riding high in what we do. And we always advise people, when you're riding high and things are going great, don't overplay your hand, because the same people you saw on the way up, you're going to see on the way down. So today's message, today's discussion, we've got several other thoughts that we put into this podcast today, but we really want to stick to the core point, which is don't overplay your hand. We believe it's a clear thing in business not to overplay your hand. And don't pick fights you don't have to pick. Again, I'm not one of these anti-Trump people at all. I don't suffer from that. I'm fine with him as president. I like some of his cabinet picks. I hate some of his cabinet picks. But I don't like this idea of picking fights we don't need to have. Don't do that. It's bad advice in business. It's bad advice in relationships. It's bad advice in all kinds of places. It's a bad habit. Don't pick fights you don't need to pick. Don't overplay your hand. Those are two thoughts for the day. Feel free at any time to text me. If you're one of these people that hates anybody that says anything negative about your favorite politician, I don't care. Text me 773-766-5322. If you're the first person to text us on this podcast, don't overplay your hand. Don't pick fights you don't need to pick. I'll send you a $100 Amazon gift certificate. And I don't care if you agree with me or disagree with me, but be the first to text and you'll get that gift certificate. Thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Thank you very, very much.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.